Hi there, good afternoon. My name is Olugbonga Adebeyijo from James Land Study Abroad and Tours. The Japa syndrome has been trending for some time now, and many people are actually leaving the country for many reasons or the other. Actually, the Japa syndrome has been trending since year 2020, since this guy, Naira Marley, released one of his single entitled Japa. Since that time, the Japa syndrome has been trending. Although people have been traveling before now, they've been going out for one reason or the other, either to find a new lease of life, either to make a living, or just to go abroad in order to leave the present economic situation we are facing in Nigeria. But the Japa trend becomes more after Naira Marley released his hits with the title Japa. So today I'll be talking to you on some things to consider before Japaing or before anybody decides to migrate from Nigeria. The first question is, what is actually Japa? Well, the Japa actually come from the Yoruba mantra, meaning to leave, to elope, or to go away from the country. Actually, one of the main reasons is actually to find a new life or to start a new living. So today, many people actually leave the country for one thing or the other. Some go abroad in order to go and study. Some go abroad in order to relocate permanently, or some even go abroad in order to take vacation or things like that. But there are many things that many people have not considered before they decided to Japa. Some believe that when they get out there, the situation will adjust to them, or they will adjust or adapt to the situation out there. But most times we find out that the situation is not really so. And that is why I am doing a video today on things that you need to consider before you actually Japa. So the first is actually weather. Nigeria has one of the best weather in the world anyway. When you talk about weather, we have the cold season, we have the hot season, the sunny season, we have time of harmattan and things like that. But out there, they have time of spring, they have time of summer, they have time of winter and autumn. During the springtime, or the time when it's snowing, when snows are falling, many people, they have a lot of problems. Some will not be able to go out to go and work, and some they have some health problems, and that is what some people don't consider. They believe that, well, if I go out there, that I can actually adapt. But many people have not really traveled during the time that snows are falling. We have some cold regions like Australia, like New Zealand, like Canada, and maybe the US and some parts of Europe too. So you need to put this into consideration if you are planning to Japa. Another thing, that's number 2 now, is slavery. Many people have not really considered, because they have not looked at the aspect of the way we work, our work life here in Nigeria. Some people have this lackadaisical attitude to work. When we talk about work, that is why we have a lot of things in Nigeria here. Some people come to work. In some workplace, we find out that some people just come and sign the attendance register, ATM, that they are signing, and they come back in the afternoon and they sign 5 out that they have worked for the day. And of course, many of them will get paid. They will get paid for that work that they have not done. And also in government establishments, we have some ghost workers. We have some people that are not working at all, and yet they are going to get salary. Something like that don't happen abroad. And you know that most times, when you are working abroad, you are paid on wages. You are paid per hour. And sometimes you work 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. And if a white man gives you a job, you are going to stand doing that job. Or you just be there. You have to do that job. If you don't do that job, you will not get paid. So that's it. So you need to really look at this aspect. And there's a saying in Yoruba that says that ẹni tí ó lè ṣe bí aláàrú lóyìnbó kò lè ṣe bí ajébọrọ̀ lọ́jà ọba. So what that means is that if you cannot really soil your hands, if you cannot do some menial jobs there, you cannot make it if you are planning to go abroad to Japa. Because some people believe that money actually fall from the trees out there, or when you go abroad, you can actually pick dollars on the streets or as well. It's not like that. You have to really work and get your money. I have a friend who is a citizen, who is a Nigerian Canadian, and last 2 years ago, he paid me a visit, and he was telling me that many Nigerians cannot actually work in Canada because they have this lackadaisical attitude to work. They are not at their duty post, and they can do anything, and at the end of the day, they get paid. So you need to be prepared for that if you are going abroad. Once you are given your job, you have to do that job, or else your wages will be deducted, or at worst, you get fired. Then another thing is that we have high cost of living, we have high taxation, fine, and some other things. If you, in Nigeria here, well, that is why Nigeria is still better than other parts of the world, I must really tell you, because when we talk about evading tax, Nigeria is one of the countries that have highest tax. I mean, they evade tax the highest. If you go abroad for any kind of crime, you get fined. You get a fine. So these draconian laws work, and for everything that maybe, and that is why it is often said that the ignorance is no excuse. If you are ignorant of the law and the law gets caught up with you, you are going to pay dearly for it. You need to put into consideration the high cost of living. Anywhere you are going to go on Google, go and search how high is the cost of living in that country. What about fine? Maybe traffic fine for violating traffic laws and things like that. I was in South Africa about, some years ago, and while coming from the airport, I saw a camera. This is what I'm saying now is over 14 or 15 years ago. I saw a camera just under the bridge. Then I asked the driver who took me from the airport. The driver told me that thing I see is actually a camera. And he said that you don't need to see any police, maybe anybody, traffic police, that will stop you for violating traffic offense or things like that. They'll just bring a bill to your house, to your residence, and they will give you, and you'll be fine. So you should be prepared for this if you are planning to travel abroad. You have to pay for your gas, you have to pay for your electricity, you have to pay for everything. In Nigeria here, many people can get away with electricity bill. You have some people who have not been paying electricity bill, and they are living in their house. You can't do like that abroad. In parking, when you talk about parking your car too, if you park anywhere, you'll be fine, or your car gets towed. So that's the thing that you need to get prepared for when you are planning to go abroad. You need to do a research to know how high the cost of living is. Like last year or 2 years ago, I don't know if the problem has died down now. I think even presently, Canada is experiencing some accommodation problem now, especially with some students, international students. Many of them are sleeping abroad. Many of them are sleeping on the streets because they can't afford accommodation. Some people are not prepared for it. For maybe a small accommodation, you pay for like 1,200, 1,600, or about 2,000. And if you also go to the US, you also see that some accommodation are very, very expensive. And you need to factor this. You need to put this into consideration, looking at how much you earn per month and how you are going to live. So that's the thing there. Then the next thing is a penalty for crime. There's a saying that goes this way, that if you cannot serve the time, don't commit the crime. So if you are one of those boys that you can just do anything, you are into drug, you are into cybercrime and all kind of things like that. Some countries like Malaysia, like Singapore, like India, like maybe like Germany, like France, and some other countries, they have zero tolerance to crime. So if you get caught, they'll just slam you into prison. So you need to put this into consideration. And that is why some countries are called police country. If you go to this country, the police are always watchdog. They are always around the vicinity to see any person, even at night. Even at night, I was when I was in Europe last year too, around something 12 a.m. I see the police patrolling. They are just at the metro park, at the metro, the subway, and they are just going up and down. So if they see anybody, you don't have any mission, you are not doing anything, they want to see your identity first, and after some time, if they suspect you of anything, they can just throw you into, they will handcuff you and they'll take you to the station. So you need to also put this into consideration. Then another thing is that, of course, many of us, one of the reasons why we are going abroad is to find a new living, to go to another country where we can call our home. And that is why people want to get their residency permits, their PR, or become a permanent citizen. So if you are going abroad, you need to put that into consideration, that there are some countries that you can live in that country for more than 10 years, and after 10 years or 12 years or even 15 years, you will not get your permanent residency. One of the countries is Dubai. It's often said that there's no how many years you live in Dubai. They will not give you residency. So if you are planning, if you are going abroad and Dubai is where you are planning to go to, you should not plan to spend so long time there, because at the end of the day, getting residency permit might be very difficult. The same thing goes for South Africa as well. I have somebody in South Africa who is even married to a South African, and for years he's told me that he has not been able to get a permit, and he's planning how he can go to other better country. So that is just the thing there. You need to put this into consideration. If you are planning to go out, there are some countries that after living in that country for 3 years, after 3 years or so, you can actually apply for a resident permit after getting your work permit. So you need to research all these things and see that these things are actually workable before you say you want to travel to that country. Then another thing is racism. Yes, racism is another thing you need to put into consideration. The whites, most whites, I think I can tell you categorically that 80% white, they still have these racist tendencies. And some countries like maybe countries like South Africa, countries like maybe Germany, country like maybe France, and maybe some other countries like that, they still have these racist tendencies against blacks. So if you are going to any of these countries, you need to put this into consideration, that one day maybe your rights might be denied you, your right might be abused. It might be on the train, it might be on inside the bus, it might be anywhere or something like that. And I once see something like this last year when I was in Holland. I went to a supermarket to go and get some stuff. So after getting some stuff, they told me that after getting some bottled water, that if I return the bottled water, I'll be given some cents. I was very, very happy. So the next day, after exhausting some of the drinks I bought, and I returned the plastic bottle, and it was recycled, and immediately my ticket was printed out, and I was given some cents. As a compensation for bringing those plastic bottles. So I asked the cashier at the desk that if I could take picture of this, because I've not seen this like this, something like this in any part of the world. And she actually agreed. After not just after 2 minutes after taking some pictures, a white man approached me and he told me that I'm not allowed to take picture inside the supermarket. I said, why? He said that I'm not just allowed. Then I did not take it lightly. I had to start saying that this is a violation of right. I took permission and I was given permission to do that. Okay, so number 6 is racism. Racism, there are some countries that still have these racist tendencies in them. And one of such countries, South Africa, Germany, France, and some other European countries. Even in the UK, you can still find some racist kind of tendencies against blacks. So if you are preparing to go to any of these countries, you should be prepared to face a kind of violation of your rights, because these people, some of them are extremely racist. I was in Poland last year, and I went to a supermarket to get some stuffs. After getting buying some things from the supermarket, they told me that if I return the bottled water that I bought, the plastic of the bottled water, I'll be giving some ransom, or I'll be giving some money, because they'll be recycling those products in the plastic bottle. The next day, I came back after exhausting my drinks and the water. I gave the plastic bottle back to them, and it was recycled. And my receipt was printed, and I was given some cents. So I was really happy. I was elated seeing this for the first time, and I asked the cashier if I could take a picture or I do a video. She said I could go ahead. So just some minutes after taking some pictures, some selfies, and maybe making a video, one young man approached me, a white guy, maybe from Poland, citizen of that country. I later got to know that is the manager or the supervisor of that supermarket. So he said I could not take pictures. I said, why? I said, I've taken permission to take those pictures. He said, I can't be allowed to take pictures in the supermarkets. So this didn't go well with me. I started saying that this is a violation of my rights. I started raising my voice. Then after some time, one American guy joined me and said, yeah, this is not acceptable. Is it because he's a black? That's why his rights will be violated. What is it to take pictures and things like that? So if you go to some countries like this, you should be prepared to be resisted against. Sometimes I had a case of one guy, he was asked to get off the train because he's a black. So you should be prepared for this. If you are not prepared, you might face some things that you will find it weird, or because this is it's not your country, it's not Nigeria. So they might actually violate your rights. Then another thing that you also need to put into consideration if you are going to a white man land is respect for the LGBT. That's the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender in person. So the LGBT is forming a community, and their rights, they are seen as acceptable member of the society now. They are right, they have this brotherhood, sisterhood, and things like that. So, and if you get to that, a community, and you have to, and they have high respect for the LGBT, I want to go against them, they might actually get into problem. So that is why you need to look at this. I was applying for a program, I think about 3 or 4 years ago, and they asked me to sign a form if I will actually respect the LGBT rights. Then I declined, and I did not go for that program. So that is it. And that is why sometimes if you are filling a form, after the title Mr. and Mrs., they will now put issue. Because, just maybe not want to say, this is tell you how the world is going, and you need to also put this into consideration. Then, another very important thing is that if you are going abroad, it's often said that you can find Nigeria in almost all parts of the globe. So if you get anywhere and you cannot see a black, you cannot see a Nigerian, you cannot see a Ghanaian, you cannot see a Sudanese, a Kenyan, a Malawian, or so on. Anybody from Africa, you can't find anybody. You can't find your brother, your brother with your Nigerian or anybody that is black. Just take your bag and leave that place because your life might be insecure. So it's very, very important. Then another thing closely linked to this is security. You should go where your mind, your heart, and your life, in fact, your life is secure. We have some countries that are always experiencing war. 24/7, they are always at dagger drawn. They're always going to war. The life there is not secure. If you live here today, you are not sure whether you'll be there tomorrow. So you need to consider your security. I put that as top priority before money if you are going to any country. Then another thing is natural disasters. There are some countries too that are prone to natural disasters. Countries like they experience a flood, they experience volcanic eruption, they experience tsunami, they experience cyclone, and so on. Countries like Philippines, country like China, country like maybe Eritrea, country like India, some parts of America. So they experience all this. So if you are going to countries like this, or you are going to any country, you need to check how frequently they experience any of this, or else you might not have a stable mind living in that country. So that's it. The next thing, that is number 10 now, that you need to put into consideration. You need to consider the welfare and social security. This is very, very important. How is the welfare? How is that country taking care of immigrants or the citizens in that country? There are some countries that have very robust and fantastic packages for non-immigrants or for anybody coming to their country. They have social security, they have healthcare, they have education, they have grants, they have jobs, and if you even go on asylum, they take good care of them because they see them as human beings. So if you go to any part of the globe and they don't have anything in place, in fact, there's no package for you. Getting citizenship is very, very hard. Getting healthcare is zero, and something like that. A little wonder why people flock to the UK. I read sometime last year that if you want to do CS, you go to the UK, it's free. You don't have to pay for CS. There are some countries too that you don't have to pay for education of your children. The government take care of them. So you need to put this into consideration if you are going to any country. Then another thing is that, very, very important. Another important thing you need to put into consideration if you are planning to migrate or to Japa is to know whether your destiny lies there. Many people have traveled abroad and they find it very difficult to make a living because God has not destined them to go to that country. I've seen many people who left Nigeria and out there they are not doing fine. Sometimes because of shame, they cannot come back home because they feel that they've left the country many years ago and they don't have good story to tell. So it's very, very important to look critically into this. This is what many people don't consider. Many people just feel that anywhere that they go to, they can actually make life there. No, it doesn't work like that. I have somebody who I know very well, and this person has gone to the UK when I was in the primary school. I'm not sure I can boast of a very decent accommodation here in Nigeria. So what God can boast about is that he has a British passport. So many people like that. And if you find out, if you have a brother, an uncle abroad, or friend abroad, and you cannot actually communicate with that person, the person is always calling you with different numbers. This is to show you that the person does not have a resident permit or is not finding things easy there. So you need to put this into consideration. It's very, very important to pray for God's direction. It's very, very good to also seek the plan or purpose of God if you are actually destined to make it abroad there. Some people are doing fine here in Nigeria. All of a sudden, this migration thing just gets into their head. They feel that they should leave Nigeria. By the time they leave Nigeria, everything that they have amassed here, their business that are doing fine, everything just went down. And some people meet their Waterloo there. Maybe they even lose their lives just within a very short space that they leave Nigeria to go abroad. So if you are planning to go abroad, you need to put this into consideration. You need to pray for God's direction. It's not every country you can migrate to. There are some countries that are not good. And there are some people that they make it here in Nigeria. They are big boys, they are big girls. They just go abroad to go and take vacation. So you can actually consider that. Another thing is high crime rates and moral debauchery. That's another thing. You need to look at where you are going to. Like there are some places you go to, some countries that you go to. The high rates, the crime there is very, very high. It's very, very high. And if you are such that maybe you are well brought up, you are not used to partying, you are not used to clubbing, you are not used to drugs, you are not used to all this lifestyle. When you get there, you might be sucked in by all these things that is going on in that place. So you need to put this into consideration as well. That's number 12. Then another thing is stronger passport. It's very, very important. When you are going abroad, you need to do a research. Eventually, if you get your PR, how strong is your passport? Where can that passport take you to? How many countries can that passport take you to without visa? Some country have like Japan is the country that has the strongest passport in the world. With a Japanese passport, I think you can enter over 185 countries in the world without a visa. I think after that, you talk about the United States of America. So you need to look at this thing very well. So if you are going to a country that maybe if you have Nigerian passports, there are many places you cannot enter. Even many African countries, you cannot go to without visa. So you need to look at this thing very well. It's very, very important. I was following a woman on Facebook about some weeks ago. She was touring around European countries and some parts of the world. Then it got some answers, some questions in my mind, and I got connected to her on phone. So I was asking her, how were you able to make these trips? And well, she told me that she has a UK passport. She's a Nigerian British, and because of this what made the trip very, very easy. So if you are planning to Japa, you need to consider the country, how strong the passport is. Lastly, it's very, very important, the issue of religion. There are some countries you go to, they not allow you to maybe go to church or go to mosques, or even maybe your work might not even permit you. Like, in Nigeria here, we are very, very religious. If you are abroad, you work 24/7. Sunday is just like normal day. You go to work, you have shifts, you do all kinds of work and all that. So if you are planning to go abroad, you need to put this into consideration, whether you'll be able to have time to nurture your spiritual life and spiritual growth. So it's very, very important. So these are a few things I said I should share with you if you are planning to Japa. It's very, very important to consider this thing. Thank you very much. Listen, share, and like.